morning, everyone. Thanks for joining the Synoptic AWS Cost Management presentation. We will be starting shortly. Mark, your camera's going in and out of focus. You must have a fancy one.
All these cameras are now becoming fancy.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining the Synoptic AWS Cloud Cost Optimization webinar. We appreciate everyone taking time out of their busy schedules to attend this and hopefully be very informative. And we want to keep this as an open-ended conversation and dialogue. So if you want to add any chat conversations in there, we will take those at heart while we're going through the deck, and we will try to address those throughout the presentation. So today what we plan to cover is why cloud cost optimization is important to you, the 5 pillars of AWS cost optimization, and the cost optimization and your journey to the cloud. And then we'll end with the Synoptic success story, who we are and where we came from. So my name is Darren White. I'm the director of the Cloud Advancement practice here at Synoptic. I have 20 plus years of technology consulting experience. The majority of that has been within multiple business sectors, pretty much everyone under the sun, focusing on digital and cloud transformation. I've been with Synoptic the last 2.5 years, and Mark, I'll hand off to you.
Thank you, Darren. My name is Mark Belanger. I'm an AWS Solutions Architect and also head up the practice over here. I've been with Synoptic for about 3 years now, and I have 20 plus years of experience. Started off in software development and then moved up to the AWS infrastructure. Chris?
Hi, Chris Valdez, also an AWS Solutions Architect here within the AWS practice at Synoptic. Been with Synoptic for about 9 years. I've been in IT for about 25 years, mostly in IT operations. Yeah.
Thanks, gentlemen. And just for everyone attending, there should be a poll question popping up. So if you could try to be as active as possible and answer as honestly as possible, we'd greatly appreciate it. So we'd like to start with kind of some high-level statistics just to give everyone a foundation of a lot of the public cloud providers. So as most of you know, AWS, Azure, and Google kind of monopolize and dominate the market segment. So AWS has 52% of the current market share. They were pretty much the initiators of the public cloud. They were founded, really went to market in 2006. However, a lot of the underlying technology and capabilities was started in the mid to late 90s, came out of Cape Town, South Africa. It's an interesting read if any of you are interested. Azure, they have 30% of the market share. They really went to market in 2010. And then Google with Alibaba and GCP, it was in 2008. They combined roughly have around 16% of the market share. There are a lot of other providers out there that have public cloud offerings. However, they really don't compete in the same space and have a lot of specialty solutions. So 90% of the enterprises exceeded their cloud budgets for 2020. shocker, COVID was a major influence there. And we, even as a global SI managed service provider, saw everyone after COVID hit really introduce things within the next day that they had to move workloads to the cloud. So since that pivot, we noticed, that cloud optimization has always been one of the top priorities on a regular basis each year for the last 5 years. So we want to just make sure that's why we focus on this topic, just to make sure everyone is kind of caught up and up to speed. So a lot of the questions that we hear as an organization is, here's kind of 3 of the typical ones. And we want to make sure that, we address a lot of these common statements and what triggers them when you hear them. So, why is my AWS bill so high? And, why are my non-prod environments, how can I reduce those? A lot of these is be able to set up the proper governance with the teams and make sure that you can control a lot of the provisioning and the billing. The billings came a long way over the years. It really took a scientist to be able to dissect what was what within the bills. And now it's really the way they've been able to aggregate it is came a long way. So by the end of this presentation, we hope that all of you will be able to kind of design your current future state environments with cost optimization in mind. And one question we would ask, and if you could put into the chat window, is what are some of the main pain points that you're currently experiencing today in regards to cost optimization? And then we'll have Mark and Chris kind of monitor the queue, and then we'll try to address those throughout the presentation. This one is very similar to the last one. It kind of talks about some of the, some of the key statistics of in the market segment. Why is the overspend so rampant? Like we mentioned before, with COVID, it really had everyone pivot to the cloud. A lot of our clients talked about that they were 15% cloud first strategy. Now all of a sudden that flipped on its head and it was 85% cloud first. So, those budgets really weren't planned for, and that everyone has now been exceeding it. So our goal is to help you kind of manage and maintain the forecast and try to maximize the services that you're going to run in your public cloud environments in AWS. Today, what we plan to cover is, the visibility into the usage, some of the key enablers in the accounting, the unnecessary provisioning, and, identify unused assets, and then to properly right size your workloads to maintain, the cost. Mr. Belanger, I'll hand off to you.
Yeah, thank you, Darren. Quick note, so 100% to the first poll question. I know a second poll question just got launched, but the first poll question, 100% said yes. Everyone has experienced cloud resource wastage in their organization. For optimizing your cloud spend, AWS continues to build tools and automated solutions to recommend cost optimizations. They know that everybody has experienced this widespread wastage, and customers are generally dissatisfied with the invoices they receive. AWS is trying to make it easier and more cost-effective to use their cloud services, but it's up to us to ensure we use the tools and take advantage of the cost savings that are available within the cloud and understand where the dollars are going to make the biggest impact when addressing your cloud spend. AWS continues to reduce their costs and upgrade their capabilities, but we need to make sure that we're using those latest generation EC2 instance types or transitioning your data into lower cost tiers to take advantage of those cloud savings. So today, we'll be going through the 5 pillars, and these are based on the AWS cost optimization best practices, which we of course follow. Those are right sizing, increasing elasticity, picking the right pricing model, and matching the right storage class. The fifth pillar contains mechanisms that help govern and manage these other four pillars. Optimizing your workloads and applications using these pillars can help you take advantage of these cloud services and tools to reduce your AWS spend. And we're going to give a quick summary of each of these pillars. So the first pillar is right sizing. And right sizing involves understanding the true performance needs of your resources and then sizing your instances to be the most cost effective. This includes selecting the cheapest instances while meeting business and performance needs, looking at your CPU, your RAM, your storage, your network utilization, and identifying what can be downsized. And you can get rid of resources that are either underutilized or not utilized at all. We do see idle resources out in cloud environments. And you can schedule your resources to start and stop at appropriate times. And this is used for certain workloads, and that gives a massive discount in savings. We'll go through that in a little bit. And you know, with the tools, right, we can use some automation to help the analysis and go extra with the CloudWatch agent that gets installed on the machine and the AWS Compute Analyzer to make it easier to get these right sizing recommendations. As an example, let's say you had an instance deployed in AWS. Let's say you just completed a migration and one of your servers is an M4 4XL. Because this instance may have been over provisioned during the initial migration, we want to review its current load. So what you want to do is you need to check your CPU, its memory, its network, and its disk I/O. In order to get the memory metrics, you need that CloudWatch agent, right, installed on the server. The memory metrics do not come by default within CloudWatch. Everything else, CPU, network, and disk I/O does. And once you have these performance metrics, you can get a baseline of the resources that the instance is utilizing, and we can identify a smaller instance type that can match the performance characteristics that we've identified. So then we change the instance and we do another performance review. When things are looking good, we can finally realize whatever that percentage of savings is. In this example, it's 87% savings. If you have any questions on right sizing, feel free to add them to the chat and we can address them later. Chris?
All right, so the next pillar we're going to talk about is increasing elasticity. So elasticity involves being able to scale your workloads to match the demand. This is important because it ensures that you're paying only for what you're using. AWS offers several services that offer elasticity, such as EC2 autoscaling, which we're going to talk about next. So typically, with traditional approaches to capacity management, most IT organizations are going to plan for peak load, right? So you want to make sure you have enough capacity to meet your peak load. The problem is that a lot of times that peak load only happens during certain, very short windows of the year. For example, you know, if you're talking about a retail website, right, you're going to have potentially really busy toward the end of the year and not so busy the rest of the year. And what happens is you end up paying for capacity that you're not utilizing. Another approach is to build to average load, right? And when you build to average load, then when you have those spikes of traffic, right, you don't have enough capacity and your application performance can suffer. The next, when you get into, AWS and you start talking about EC2 autoscaling, autoscaling is a free service. It allows your workloads to be sized dynamically around the capacity required at any given time. So your instances will scale in when you need more capacity, and then those instances will turn back off, scale out when you no longer need the capacity. That way you're only paying for the capacity that you need. Mark.
Thank you. And real quick, kind of going to the last poll question, what do you think is the key reason behind cloud overspend in your specific enterprise? 50% said unoptimized cloud instances, and 50% also said incorrect pricing models. So those are the top two that came out of our poll question, our second poll question. We will have a third. So, speaking a little bit about unoptimized instances and then moving right into leveraging the right pricing model. And that's the third pillar. And most workloads start off as on-demand workloads, meaning you pay for what you need at the moment in time. Most workloads, there are a couple of other pricing constructs that can give you more discounts based on how well you know or how well you design your environment. We'll briefly cover the reserved instances, the savings plans, and spot instances. And then, of course, you have the standard on-demand pricing model. So reserved instances, or RIs, are discounts applied to instances based on a longer-term commitment. This assumes that you plan to run specific types of instances for a period of time, typically between 1 and 3 years. And you can get a discount of up to 75% off that on-demand pricing. RIs are like discount coupons. Each RI gives 1 coupon per hour per instance being reserved over the term of the RI. So for example, if you have a 1-year reserved instance, that provides 24 times 365 coupons, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And each coupon provides a discount in exchange for your commitment to that instance. The RIs are a financial construct or kind of a layer on top of your AWS infrastructure, and that gets deducted as you consume those resources. Savings plans are more flexible than reserved instances. There are 2 types: compute savings plans and EC2 instance savings plans. Compute savings plans apply to EC2 instance usage regardless of their instance family, their availability zone, region, operating system, or tenancy. And that's different than reserved instances, which are typically tied to the instance family, the availability zone, the region, the operating system, et cetera. So it's more flexible. It's a more flexible commitment that can be applied and used as your environment changes over time. And with the EC2 instance savings plan, it offers even deeper discounts to commit to an instance family in a particular region. For instance, the M5 family in the North Virginia region. The EC2 savings plan offers up to 72% savings, and the compute savings plans offers up to 66% savings. So we have RIs up to 75%, EC2 instance savings plans up to 72%, and compute savings plans up to 66%. Now, spot instances are an excellent way to save up to 90% off the on-demand pricing on your EC2 instances with no need for commitments or upfront costs. And what spot instances are is they're unused capacity in the AWS regions that are offered at extreme discounts. You can use spot instances for various stateless, fault-tolerant, or flexible applications or workloads, such as big data, containerized workloads, CI/CD pipelines, web servers, high-performance computing, and a lot of test and development workloads work well. It's worth noting that if an on-demand user requires an instance type currently being used by a spot user, right? So now you have an on-demand user trying to take that available space from the spot user. Well, AWS will issue that spot user a 2-minute warning that their instance is about to be terminated. If you have workloads that can accommodate this on-off approach, there are some great tools within AWS like Spot Fleet that will help automatically replace these instances with a new one. And if you have this as part of an auto-scaling group, many workloads wouldn't be interrupted at all. And with Spot Fleets, you can set different instance types. So as capacity ends on one instance type, then your auto-scaling group will launch another instance type. And so the 90% savings, the most savings that you can get is with those spot instances. Chris?
Thanks, Mark. So the next pillar we're going to talk about is leveraging the right storage class. So AWS offers many types of storage based on your application needs. It's important to leverage the right class of storage to be the most cost efficient. I'm going to talk briefly about some storage tiering options for S3 and EBS. So services like S3 do offer different tiers of storage based on how frequently or infrequently you need to access the data. S3 offers tiers such as S3 infrequent access, reduced redundancy, Glacier, and Glacier Deep Archive. It doesn't make sense to pay the same price for data you access every day as opposed to an archive that you took 5 years ago and probably won't need to access again. Cold storage like S3 Deep Archive is orders of magnitude cheaper than standard S3 storage. For example, if we take the Ohio region and we kind of compare the pricing, S3 standard runs about 2.3 cents per gigabyte. However, if you drop to S3 infrequent access, it's only 1.25 cents per gigabyte. Glacier standard Glacier archive service is about 0.4 cents, and Glacier Deep Archive is 99 thousandths of a cent. So you really can realize some huge savings there for that type of storage. On the block storage front, EBS also offers different classes of storage with varying levels of cost and performance. Magnetic storage, general purpose SSD, and provisioned IOPS are 3 of the common options here. For large volumes with low I/O, but that need good throughput, magnetic storage is the cheapest block storage option. SSDs offer more IOPS and can handle most workloads, especially now with the new GP3 volumes, which you can scale IOPS and throughput independently of the disk size. For the most demanding workloads, you also have provisioned IOPS storage, which offers extreme performance but carries a pretty hefty price tag. I mentioned GP3 volumes. GP3 volumes have only been out for about a year now, but many customers can actually transition away from provisioned IOPS volumes to GP3 and maintain the same performance at about 1/10 of the cost. Individual GP3 volumes can actually now support up to 16,000 IOPS and up to 1,000 megabytes per second of throughput. Again, that scales independently of the volume size. So really important takeaway here is to review the activity, how often your application access data, how many IOPS your instances are using, and select the right storage tier for that particular use case. Mark?
And the last pillar essentially are mechanisms, processes, and tools to complement the other 4 pillars. These include things like defining and enforcing tagging so that you can appropriately monitor and categorize all your resources. You want to define your metrics and KPIs so that you'll be tracking and you'll know what success looks like. And you want to define that in your cost optimization journey. You want to be able to enable teams to architect with cost efficiency in mind. And so you can offer training, a rewards or recognition system, or other tools to make it easier for your teams to pick the more cost-efficient, optimized options. And finally, you can assign a responsibility to either different teams or build a dedicated team to focus on cost optimizations and who can teach and further educate the different lines of business that you have. In addition, there are tools that can be used throughout your cost optimization journey to give you insight into how you can make the largest impact and reduce your cloud spend. The first tool is the AWS Cost Explorer. This tool is available in the Billing Console, and you can slice and dice and break down your resource utilization and the costs associated with those. The next tool I mentioned a little bit earlier with the AWS Compute Optimizer. This works really well with conjunction with that CloudWatch agent to get the memory metric. If you don't have that CloudWatch agent installed, it will only evaluate those other baseline metrics that come out by default: CPU, network, and disk input output. And the AWS Compute Optimizer, that does give those right sizing recommendations to help you choose a smaller instance type, but not sacrifice your performance and business needs. Of course, when you make these changes, you want to test again and take a look at your metrics and make sure that from a application customer perspective, that everything looks good, as well as from a baseline metric perspective, that all your KPIs look good. There's also the AWS Trusted Advisor. This is a great tool, very easy to use, very easy to understand. You can see the cost optimization on the left with recommended potential monthly savings. If you just do a quick search for the Trusted Advisor service, it will provide a lot of recommendations across 5 different pillars: cost optimization, performance, security, fault tolerance, and service limits. And then if you have business support, you actually get access to a couple of the others, security, where you don't have that in the basic support plan. And then those that need more advanced analysis of their AWS consumption, we tend to build enterprise cost optimization dashboards. And what this does, this is just a demo account, but what this does is will allow you to evaluate each resource as they come in and as those reports get added with the cost and usage reports. Those get added to S3. And then what we do is we put Athena on top of that to query that S3 data lake. And then we put the QuickSight business intelligence services on that. And you're able to slice and dice all of your costs and really see where your costs are going and what is the most impactful that may need some optimization, or what happened previous month, or as you can see with those data transfer charges, which get very tricky based on that on-demand utilization. Chris?
Okay. So we're going to quickly talk about the cloud optimization journey. So your workloads are going to go through several stages, right? Starting from an initial concept on through to production. So at each stage of the journey, different cost optimization strategies can be applied. Costs do typically increase over time. So in the design stage, right, decisions are made during investigation and design that have a big impact on the eventual cost of the workload, and can determine how easily which cost can be monitored and optimized. It's understood that usually at this stage, you may be more focused on functionality than cost, and that's okay. But just try to build mechanisms like tagging and cost visibility into place so that you have the ability to work on the optimizations as the environment grows. During the implementation stage, it's important to monitor costs and ensure the architectural decisions made were the right ones before you move into production. It's expected that costs will rise this time, and most resources are focused on meeting performance and functionality goals. So again, you may not have the available resources during this stage to devote to cost optimization. During the growth stage, during production and growth stage, patterns of usage and cost become more noticeable and can be considered for optimization. This is where cost optimization recommendations start to get developed and reviewed through monitoring actual costs and your reporting on those costs. During the operational stage, all optimization strategies can be effective. This is where you want to consider managed services, if you haven't already, to allow your team to concentrate their efforts on their core business and reduce service management efforts. This can lead to significant savings in total cost of operation and free up resources for innovation. Alternatively, it may be important to start building a center of excellence around cost optimization so that resources are focused on monitoring and executing cost-saving opportunities. Remember to architect with cost optimization in mind and plan ahead by tracking usage until you're able to start executing on cost optimization best practices. Note that the more you're able to optimize up front, the more savings you will realize and have less remediation efforts later on. So when you're getting started on your own cost optimization journey, here are some questions that you can ask yourself, right? How many instances could I right size? This is where that Compute Optimizer comes in, can help you answer this question. What benefits can I get from using reserved instances? For those steady state workloads, huge cost savings can be achieved by going with RIs. How many of my instances really need to be running 24/7? If I've got a development environment that I have developers only working on 8 hours a day, do I really need 24 hours, those instances running 24/7? And then how many instances are or can be configured for auto scaling? Again, going back to that elasticity, having the right amount of capacity for the demand, and no more, no less. So asking yourself the right question at the right stage will help you focus your cost optimization efforts depending on where you are in your journey. All right, and then I think another poll should be launching here momentarily. And that poll should be available for you guys.
All right, and while you guys are answering the poll, so just kind of a case study. We had a client, Eros STX. They are a global producer of movies, distribution, and that whole production. So when the pandemic hit and movie theaters, everyone went into lockdown, movie theaters closed, this impacted the media business massively, right? And luckily, Eros STX was on AWS and had the availability to right-size their instances, scale things down, and really save on their costs as traffic and the production of new movie launches, et cetera, really declined. And so we were able to perform well-architected reviews to assess each of their workloads and applications as a bundle and provide recommendations across not only cost, but security, performance, efficiency, reliability, et cetera, to help optimize their workloads. With that analysis, we were able to consolidate, we were able to decommission, and we were able to optimize those resources that we're living on to reduce that footprint and realize those cost savings. And we leveraged all of these pillars that we mentioned today. We also applied infrastructure as code. So as they were launching new movies, they were able to auto scale those up and down with those movie and marketing releases. And then as those were already in theaters and those start coming back down, well, now the environment shrinks and their cost savings are realized with it. And then with the known quantity of traffic and compute, we did evaluate their pricing models and made recommendations for the commitment discounts. All in all, we were able to reduce the Eros STX AWS spend by 70% each and every month. And so the amount that we were engaged are now realized over and over and over again. And by the way, we were able to optimize a lot of their security and lower that footprint as well as we optimize their cost.
Perfect. Thanks, Mark. And just so everyone's aware, on that last poll question, 100% of you responded that you do feel better equipped for cost optimization in the journey to the AWS cloud. So that's good news. At least we know then this presentation was valuable to the viewing community. So who is Synoptic? So Synoptic's a global system integrator and a managed IT service provider based out of Irvine, California. We can provide and help with the transformation of your business objectives. We partner with organizations worldwide to help navigate their ever-changing technology landscape and build solutions to support their new business needs. We have a comprehensive service portfolio. If you look at kind of the ring on the left, it spans many different technology domains. We have cloud services, cybersecurity, business applications, data analytics. We'll have data scientists, we'll have machine learning, AI, and custom software development. We've been serving customers since 2001, and we hold advanced tier status and pro certifications with AWS. We'd like to thank everyone for their valuable time today, and we'd like to close out with any questions and answers. From an administrative standpoint, I don't know if your mics are on or if you need to type them into the window, but we'll just wait here patiently, and then if anyone wants to add any in the window.
So we have a question. I've been using a web application for several years now. It's hosted on AWS. Which cost optimization pillars are likely to yield cost savings the quickest? So if you have existing workloads, what we found is right sizing, right? So taking a look at those performance metrics, getting CloudWatch Agent installed on those servers to include that memory metric, and then evaluate that baseline, make your right sizing changes, and then evaluate the performance again. That's number one. And then number two would be choosing that right pricing model. So if you do have your web application, it's been running for several years. If you're on that on-demand pricing model, you're paying top dollar. So if it's going to continue on to live for another 1 to 3 years or more, definitely take a look at those reserved instances if it's not going to change too often, or those savings plans to get that additional flexibility. Also spot instances, of course, if your workloads are able to adjust to that. But right sizing and choosing the right pricing model, those are the two quickest ways for those existing applications to realize those cost savings. Thank you. Good question.
Any others? No other questions at this time. We'll take the silence as everyone was 100% informed and they have all the questions. If you have any needs or outstanding questions, follow up to this presentation, feel free to reach out to any of us at any time. I don't know if our contact information will be in there, but we can offer cloud assessments, and we can do some detailed analysis on your current environment. We'd be more than happy to be that trusted advisor for you. So there should be some contact information associated with the deck. Feel free to reach out, and we'd be more than happy to work with you and your team going forward. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a great day.